Welcome everyone. I recently watched a video where Ranveer takes an interview of Sister Shivani and she explains how astrology, destiny and Kundali can be changed. Today will be educational. Leave your emotions behind. For those who don't know, Sister Shivani is quite famous for her spiritual guidance and mentoring. She's got a following of 5.41 million subscribers on YouTube. Pretty high up there. But does she talk logic or is she full of shh? Let's dive in.
They say podcasts are going to replace books. I don't know about that, but I do think TRS clips will assist your learning process.
Before he could start an interview, pure arrogance. His podcast is not meant to replace books. What the hell?
There's another topic that people wonder about a lot nowadays, and that's the topic of astrology.
I don't wonder about it, but I do find it interesting. So let's see.
And astrological charts and cosmic influences on our lives.
Yes.
And it's something that I've laughed at again in the past, that, all this is not real, etc. And I've just come to realize that there is some logic behind it.
Yes.
And I've got into reading about it as well.
Yep, if your logic is full of shit, then yes, it's got plenty of logic behind it.
Yes.
And be it like the Western school of thinking, which talks about sun signs, they're all linked. They are all kind of connected from a scientific perspective almost.
Okay, he puts scientific in quotes. Just because you use the word scientific, it does not make it scientific. For those who don't know, anything scientific has to have hypotheses, and then those hypotheses has to be proved. There is no scientific evidence that astrology is true.
Almost like the mathematics of all of them are the same. But
Mathematics of all of them are the same. What is mathematics according to him? I really want to know. If you guys know, you can tell me in the comments below.
lots of people don't understand it.
Do you?
And after we've spoken about meditation, willpower, etc., I'd love for you to kind of give people a briefing on where your astrological charts have an influence on your reality of life. A lot of times that could be true if it's read out by like a high level astrologer, someone who knows their stuff.
Yes.
He'll or she will say some very accurate things about you.
Yes.
High level astrologers. If I say a generic thing, I'm sure it'll be applied to half the population. Let me try. You are the most kind person in the world. You always try to help people. And you always are misunderstood. A lot of the people don't understand what you're trying to say. They always misunderstand you. Even though you do good things, you still get into trouble. Now, take 2 minutes and think, did any of the things that I just said applies to you? If yes, am I the master astrologer? I haven't even asked you for your date of birth or the sunshine or whatever. These are just the things that a person thinks about themselves.
And that's how people even get into astrology. My understanding is that all of this melts away when you get into your sadhana or meditation. But I would love to hear it from your perspective.
Astrological chart. It is something that was prepared a day or two after the baby was born.
Yeah.
A child is born and they will get the chart prepared.
Yep, families got a lot of time and they just want to prepare a chart about a child who's just been on the planet for 2 days. This is something dark, right? What if that child has some disease when they are born? Is that chart going to reflect it?
Child has not done any karma and the destiny chart is prepared. That at the age of 10, this will happen. At the age of 20, this will happen. And then we'll get married and then we'll have 2 children. And at this age, it's not going to be very good for 7 years or 5 years. Everything is written down very, very clearly. Written on the
What about a child that doesn't make it to 10-year-old? A lot of the children don't. Think about it.
basis of the child has not done any karma. So if karma creates my destiny, how is it that my destiny chart is prepared before I've done any karma? So obviously because it's the destiny chart of the soul.
By the way, soul is the single most dead concept in all of history. I've made a video about soul which should be floating above on your screen and you can watch my thoughts on it. But in case the soul exists, if I'm a Virgo and I dies and I'm born as a Pisces in next life, how does that work? Will my soul still retain my karma from when I was a Virgo?
Not the destiny chart of this body. So it has nothing to do with this age. So I, the soul, am in this costume, and this is my last minute. I'm about to leave. Till this last minute, my every karma and sanskar is on the soul.
Why are you adding the word sanskar in it? Sanskar, to what I understand, is the teachings that your family tells you. Okay, so let me understand. My soul has some sort of pocket in which it's collecting all the karma, and then it just leaves. And then it goes to a different body.
I leave everything behind. But the only thing I take with me is my karma and my sanskar. So I will call this last minute as the closing balance sheet. The soul enters into the womb of the mother. Couple of months later, a baby is born and the destiny chart is prepared. That is the opening balance sheet.
This is an interesting accountancy concept. Just out of curiosity, where is this balance sheet kept? Who keeps this balance sheet? How is she getting that information?
So the opening balance sheet is going to be identical to the closing balance sheet.
And how do we know that? And where can the Pandit see the closing balance sheet before preparing the opening balance sheet, which as per you is the Kundali that the Pandit is creating for a 2-day-old child?
Identically hogi na. Our 31st March closing balance sheet in India is next day, 1st April, it's the opening balance sheet.
What a ludicrous example. It is identical, right? Why are you doing it to accountancy?
So what is in the 31st March closing balance sheet? The way I did business in this financial year. So they could be good, they could be bad, they could be profit, they could be... My every transaction will come there. And now I take this whole bunch of transaction into, I've just changed a costume. For the soul, it's nothing, just another day. But I've changed the costume. So that balance sheet is now the opening balance sheet, which is given to the family 2 days after the baby is born.
Here's a thought. Does soul have emotions? The reason I'm asking that is, say if for a soul it's just changing costume and it collects all the karma and it collects all the things, is it easy for soul to change costumes? Because if somebody leaves us, if somebody that we love passes away, we miss them. We miss them a lot. I wonder if the soul is alive, will it miss the people who it left behind? And if we have a soul, why are we missing the person that has gone? If their soul is still alive, I think we just have one life, and adding soul just demean our current life.
What is it based on? It is based on the sanskar and the karma that the soul has come with. Astrology means the science of the influence of the planets on my sanskar.
Astrology means the science? No, it doesn't. It means some people just made shit up and then proclaimed it's science. It follows no principles of science to be called as science. Thank you very much.
And this I've discussed with an astrologer, a very senior one of India.
An astrologer, even at the ground level, or a very senior astrologer, is not a scientist. And it doesn't matter how high the post is, that just means that he's fooling people for a lot longer than anyone else.
And I said, I went to him very raw because I would not study this for myself. I've never studied it or seen it.
You don't know your own? Okay.
Because I'm sure it's changed. It's
How do you know it's changed if you haven't studied it? Please explain, ma'am.
not as per what was in the chart. My parents would have known it otherwise. It's not.
And it's changed based on the lifestyle and decisions you made in this life.
Yeah, because that was only the opening balance sheet. That is what is very important. What many of us do is keep referring to the opening balance sheet as if that is the way life is going to be. It is the opening balance sheet only based on my yesterday. Yesterday means whatever I've come with. So influence of planets on the sanskar. Meditation is going to melt what? My sanskars. So whatever sanskars change in this lifetime, for the good or sometimes not for the good. So with meditation, I can change my sanskar for the good, sometimes due to any other influence or my sanskar changes towards the other side also. The influence of the planet will change.
Hang on a moment. How does the previous life impact your current life then? If the balance sheet or the opening statement is no longer relevant to the current life. What's the point of past life then? What does the past life achieve?
And so those predictions where your sanskar has changed will not turn out to be true. Those predictions where your sanskar has not changed will turn out to be true. And so if anyone goes with their astrological chart at whichever age, they will see that some things have turned out to be as per in the chart and some things have not turned out to be as per in the chart, depending on how much change the soul has created, which means did you change your way of doing business in this financial year? So somebody can come with profit, very good karmas of the past. Suppose they do not do some good karmas in this, their profit balance sheet will now start shifting towards a loss. Somebody could come with heavy losses, but if they do, so like meditation or whatever method they choose, they start doing good karma, good sanskar, the balance sheet of this financial year will go towards good profit. So the prediction...
Profit is generally good, but that's not the point. Gosh, I've got so many questions. Who is keeping the account of all of that's good and bad? How do we tell a child is born with a good karma or a bad karma? Who makes this up? How is this controlled?
will not always turn out to be
It's
true.
like your default settings, which can be like
That is the
changed.
beginning setting, actually. It's not even a default setting.
Default is the word used in computing terms originally, which means without fault, which is the factory settings, which is the beginning setting. It's the exact same words. Just because you don't like the word default doesn't mean you can change it to beginning. It's more synonymous.
It is the beginning. It's like, okay, again, now we go back to you. Last night's meal upset stomach. I'm sorry, I'm using
No,
it
it's
as
all
a
good.
reference,
It's all
but it's
good.
making sense. The last night's meal upset
Absolutely, toilet humor is the best humor. It always makes sense because everybody relates to it.
stomach in the morning. No problem. Last night's karma, present consequence. If you again go and have a very heavy breakfast now, so then you're again doing a similar type of karma, which means your sanskar is making you eat. In spite of learning that it didn't suit me well, you are forced to do it through your sanskar because you're not changing your sanskar. So if
Just talking from experience, and because I have a stomach, if you have an upset stomach, there's literally no way you can have a heavy breakfast. So even her analogy has a fault. Even her trying to make sense is senseless. So at this point, I've kind of lost what she's even trying to say.
So if you go and again have something which is not right for your body or you overeat, the same consequence is going to come again. And then
You know what? You can poop. That'll help.
your doctor will say, I told you this will happen again. They told you based on your sanskar this morning because of what you ate last night. But if after what happened today, you say, okay, today I'm going to eat less, I'm going to eat light, I'm going to eat healthy, your destiny is going to change today. So you are the creator of your destiny.
This one I agree with, apart from all the bullshit she says. But I do agree that you are the creator of your own destiny. If you do any action, good or bad, good actions generally have a reward, bad actions generally have consequences. This is how life is, in simple terms. I don't know why she wants to add the extra balance sheet of soul, karma, sanskar, and whatever else. If we keep things simple, if you do something today, it'll have a result. If you study for an exam, you're going to learn a little bit more. If you go to do work and find something really interesting, it'll impact your promotion. It's just the way it is.
Similarly, if you take a blood test today, let's say, and you go to a doctor, he'll see your present parameters. If my sugar is on the borderline based on my lifestyle, and the doctor says, okay, if you continue like this, probably within 6 months or 1 year, we are on the borderline of diabetes. I come back home. That is my destiny chart, my blood report.
Diabetes seems to be a favorite disease of every other person who wants to scare you. It is a very common disease as well, though. So I guess using that example kind of makes sense because it relates to most people.
And I say, oh, but what to do? I can't change my lifestyle, late nights, work, and I don't have time to exercise. Victim of my lifestyle. then I will definitely get diabetes, probably even before the prediction, because now I always also have an added stress of my health. But if someone comes back and says,
I know so many people who don't give a shit about their health and they keep eating even though they are full. I encourage everyone that they should do basic exercises at least 2-3 times a week. It could be just taking a simple walk to the park, and if the park is really close, just take 6-7 rounds around it. You don't have to do much, but you have to be consistent. If you just want to stay healthy, just keep your blood rolling,
today, this change, this change, this change, and this change, you never get diabetes in this lifetime. So the scientific prediction was true. What
That is not true. Some people, even though they exercise, still can get diabetes. It's quite genetic. You'll be less likely to get diabetes if you're a healthy individual, but things happen.
the doctor said was true, but it was based on my today's lifestyle and my today's blood report.
Interesting. The doctor said it was true. And how did doctor know it was true? Because he checked your reports. And how does your reports reflect what you are doing? Simple. You've eaten too much, you've had too much sugar, and then your blood sugar reflects it. Doctor is not saying something or making things up like this sister. Doctor is looking at the evidence and then coming to a decision. Something she should try.
If I change my lifestyle tomorrow, so the astrological prediction is only a prediction. So the word prediction needs to be underlined. It's only a prediction, which means it's a probability. Reality will be decided by the individual.
So, astrology is absolutely useless. Why are we even involving astrology at this point if it is just a prediction? I mean, I can come to you and say whatever, then I can say, oh, it's just a prediction. And then it never happens. I'm still out of trouble. And if it happens, I get the praise. What the hell?
But many people will consume the probability
and make the reality
and make
happen.
it their reality. So I personally prefer not to consume the probability, because why? Let's create the best of karma. And if something has to happen because I've passed consequence, we'll face it with dignity.
Yeah.
But if the mind consumes information of a probability, then many minds are not able to rise above that and create a different reality. So astrological prediction is a science of the probability of what can happen in my life based on my current sanskars and the karma that I have come with. You start meditation, start changing your lifestyle, and you will change your sanskar, and the probability will be different from what the reality you will create.
So this is going to be the shortest summary ever. We learned nothing from what Sister Shivani has to say. She talks a lot of crap, and she explains a very simple thing in a very complicated manner. All she's trying to say is whatever action you take will have the reaction, and it could be a good reaction or it could be a bad reaction. We don't need to listen to any of the bollocks of astrology, destiny or Kundali or whatever, because they do not exist. Anyone can make a prediction. It's absolutely useless to you. Whatever you want to achieve in life, you gotta work towards it and work hard toward it. Learn. It's a journey, not a destination. And as I always say, let us think, and you can call me atheist.